Let's talk about the tight ends, though, because none of these tight ends got tagged, which I think was a little bit of a surprise to me because the tag number for tight ends is not very high. So Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, neither one of those guys got tagged. They're both hitting the open market. Which one do you want? Because I think that it's a toss-up because Hunter Henry is going to make more money. He also has the injury concerns. Jonnu Smith is an ascending player, not a guy that has great production yet, but his production has gone up every single year. His touchdown totals have gone up every single year, and he just is screaming for a situation where you feed him the ball a little bit more and you unlock some more of that skill, especially after the catch. So I think that's the question now is which one of those tight ends are you picking if you had your choice?
Is that really a question?
I think it's
Hunter Henry.
I think it's a question.
Oh, no, it's not. It's Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's a much better player. He's a true 3-down tight end. He's a potential 1,000-yard receiver. He can block. He can impact a run game.
1,000 yards, though. He's got 600 and something was his career high. I think Jonnu Smith is a player that I look at who's 24, 25 years old. He's got more versatility than Hunter Henry. He can do some of the inline blocking duties that Hunter Henry can do still. He's better after the catch than Hunter Henry is. I think there's definitely a conversation here to be had, especially when you weigh how much each of them is going to cost, right? Because Hunter Henry is going to be a couple $1 million more a year, especially some more guaranteed money up front than a guy like Jonnu Smith who doesn't necessarily have the numbers yet to be garnering, some big money number. So I think that you have to look at that position. And a lot of these guys, I think Travis Kelce is kind of the number one example. A lot of these guys at tight end, it takes until year 3, year 4, year 5 for them to really start producing and start taking off. And Jonnu Smith he's only about 6'3", 6'4", but he's got great athletic traits, great speed, great agility, tested extremely well at the combine, all that type of athleticism type of stuff. And now he's sort of starting to refine it all as a receiver out there. And it's going to get unlocked by somebody, I think, here very, very shortly.
Yeah, I don't know. I like what Hunter Henry can do physically in terms of his, he's 6'6", yeah. Right? He's not as thick as Jonnu is, but he's still more muscular. He's got the strength to him. I like, especially because they're probably not going to have that true ace receiver, right? They might have a number 1, but they're probably not going to end up with that ace Allen Robinson type receiver. Give me the tight end who's going to be the biggest matchup problem. I'll pay for Hunter Henry. I'll pay more for Hunter Henry, not just because he's good, but he's going to be more of a headache to the defense when it gets to game planning, I think, than Jonnu Smith is. I know you can move Jonnu Smith around, and I get that element of it.
Josh McDaniels going to have him in the backfield one play. He's going to have him in the slot the next play. Then he's got his hand in the dirt.
But
Hunter Henry's not going to do that type of stuff.
Here's the thing. I feel like you can use a linebacker, not every linebacker, but you can use a linebacker to cover Jonnu Smith. I don't like. Some teams can. Maybe not every team has that linebacker, but there are linebackers in the league who can. I think with Hunter Henry, that's a much tougher task. I think you need the extra defensive back on the field to cover Hunter Henry. And if you can get teams into 5 or 6 defensive back sets, and then you have this massive offensive line like we talked about at the beginning, and Sony Michel and Damian Harris who want to run downhill and crack skulls, you're really going to kind of put defenses in a tough spot between, do we want the extra body out there for Hunter Henry, or do we want the extra body in there to deal with this massive offensive line power run game? And Cam can become a part of that if he comes back, and having Cam as the big body in the backfield. So I like, again, the matchup maybe play to play, Jonnu Smith is tougher, but the overall game plan matchup and the personnel matchup and the personnel mismatches that Hunter Henry gives you, like I look at that, especially now with this Trent Brown move and like you talked about the direction they seem to be heading in. And I get really excited by that. So that's why I'm Hunter Henry.
I understand where everybody's coming from with Hunter Henry. The thing that concerns me the most about Hunter Henry is the durability, right? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? He hasn't stayed healthy. And maybe we've talked about in the past, that might be the Chargers training staff. And that's been a disaster there in LA or San Diego, wherever they've been over the years. But he's had some injury concerns. And to me, Hunter Henry is your prototypical wide tight end, right? He's going to put his hand in the dirt. He's going to run option routes. He's going to run wide option was his number 1 route in LA, right? Go up to the top of the route, break it off, whichever direction the defender is not in. It's the Jason Witten route, right? Jason Witten's probably going to make the Hall of Fame off of that one play. Gronk's route was the crosser or the over route behind the linebacker level or the seam, right? Hunter Henry is more of an option guy at the top of the route with his quickness. So I think that there's some, translation there certainly into their offense with that role, but Jonnu Smith just the athleticism, the versatility just really speaks to me. It does. It's somebody that I think is going to be, for Josh McDaniels, that's someone that you can really scheme up. Whereas with Hunter Henry, you kind of need to alter and you kind of need to say, okay, this is going to be his role because this is what he does best, right? You know,
right.
Look, it's not necessarily someone that you're going to break out the mold for.
Sure, Jonnu Smith isn't a bad option. I just think they need talent and head to head, who's the more talented player? I think it's Hunter Henry. I'll add this: I get the durability concerns, and I'm normally the first one mentioning that. Right? I've been talking about it nonstop with Garoppolo, but his games played over 5 years: 15, 14. He missed 2018 with the knee injury, but then 12 and 14. So he's missed spot games here and there, but he's played 12 games every year but one. And he plays through injuries. He does. So he's not, I see people call him soft.
No, I think he's soft.
His injuries are more issues of circumstance. He's not a guy that's sitting out games he could probably play. If he can play, he's going to play. He just had that bad knee injury, and then I think he broke his hand or something early in his career, and he missed a couple games. But again, I'll go back to it. 15, 14, 12, 14. He's on the field more often than not. The injury concern certainly valid, and if you want to take that into account, it's certainly worth taking into account. But it's not the point where I think it's the be-all, end-all.
It's not necessarily about the injuries themselves. I think with me and Hunter Henry, it's have we already seen the best out of Hunter Henry, or does he have another level, right? Does he have another level? I think Jonnu Smith has another level.
You're talking about how it comes in year 4 and 5. Hunter Henry only has a year on Jonnu Smith.
Right, but we have seen Hunter Henry, I think at this point, he had that 600-plus yard season with a bunch of TDs. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think we've seen Hunter Henry close to his peak. I don't know if we've seen Jonnu Smith close to his peak. And as a team like the Patriots, I want players that are going up, right? I want to want players that have already reached that level and are kind of doing what they do in their primes now. I want a player like Jonnu Smith who's going to jump from 450 yards with the Titans last year to 800 with the Patriots.
But see, they've had guys like that at the tight end position. Like Scott Chandler was like a rising star in Buffalo. Right. Like they've struggled with those up. He's just the first example. There's a couple more I can't think of, but so to counter that, give me the guy who we know is going to be good. Hunter Henry might not get much better than he is right now, but he's a top 10, maybe top 5 tight end in the league right now. Like, I'm fine. If you get 3 years of a top 10 tight end, just take that. Like, maybe Smith's ceiling is higher, but are they going to be able to capitalize on it?
Yeah, I think it's a great debate. I think both these guys.
And again, both are good players. If they end up with either one, they did well. Because I saw people trashing me for not wanting Jonnu Smith. I would take Jonnu Smith. I'd rather have Hunter Henry, but they're both good players. Like either one's a success.
And they're both different. So it's kind of your taste, right? What flavor do you want?
Right.
Vanilla. Which one do you want to go in? And I think
that's the thing. I want to go back to I want Gronk. I want them to get, and he's not close to Gronk, but he's as close as they're going to get.
So the thing about Gronk that I think a lot of people forget because we're used to this Gronk now, do you remember how dynamic Gronk was in the open field?
They're not like Henry's not that, but I think he's as close to that as they're going to get.
No, the closest thing that he has a lot of skills that are like that, right? In terms of the blocking, in terms of the running the routes inside the formation, stuff like that. But with Hunter Henry, he doesn't have that yak ability, right? He doesn't have that yards after the catch skill. Jonnu Smith definitely does. And that's something that I think gets me more excited about Jonnu is I think of ways that Josh McDaniels can get him into space, right? And get him with the ball in his hands and get him rolling. And that's certainly something that I think is really intriguing.